Annie here with another infernal anecdote. Today, we're creeping into the twisted world of cult leaders and their disgusting ways. The predator who was hiding in plain sight, masking as a savior. Get ready to unravel the New Yorker gone slave master, Keith Raniere. Now, let's rewind. Keith Raniere was born on August 26, 1960, in Brooklyn, New York. He was the only child of James Raniere and Vera Oshipko. His father was an advertising executive, and his mother was a ballroom instructor. Somehow, a cult leader was emerged. Well, Raniere does credit his inspiring work to a novel he read when he was 12 years old. It was Isaac Asimov's Second Foundation. The book is about mind control. He learned well. He became a charismatic figure who presented himself as a visionary and guru, attracting many followers with promises of personal and professional transformation. Raniere's background included claims of exceptional intelligence, with reported IQ scores in the genius range. That is typically defined as an IQ score of 140 and above. To paint a better picture, famous people with similar IQ levels are Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, and Nikola Tesla. Now, this self-proclaimed genius portrayed himself as a polymath and entrepreneur, with an expertise in fields such as mathematics, science, and philosophy. What accolades you have, Raniere? This was, of course, not true. He graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a 2.26 GPA, barely passing his classes. What a surprise. Life takes an interesting turn in 1990 when he starts his own multi-level marketing company, Consumers Byline Inc. It was a buying club that offered discounts in exchange for recruitment. At a fated CBI pitch meeting, Raniere met Tony Natalie. She was a top seller for the organization, alongside her then husband. Well, her marriage ended shortly thereafter. Natalie and her son moved to Clifton Park, New York, to be with Raniere. They dated for the next 8 years. As CBI began to decline in 1993, regulators in 20 states launched investigations into the company, alleging that CBI was a pyramid scheme. Even with all of this is going on, Raniere decided to create the National Health Network, another multi-level company, but this time it was to sell vitamins. Not surprisingly, it failed 3 years later. 2 years after his failed attempt in the supplement world, Raniere signed a consent order with New York State, resolving the case against CBI. Ultimately, only paid $9,000 out of a $40,000 fine to the state. Best part, he didn't have to admit to any wrongdoing, but the consent order permanently barred Raniere from any future participation in a chain distribution scheme, aka pyramid scheme. But then came NXIVM, pronounced Nexium. Thanks to Natalie, Keith meets Nancy Salzman, co-founder of Nexium, and the rest is history. Nexium was started in the late 1990s as a self-help organization offering personal and professional development programs. But ultimately, they gained notoriety for its alleged cult-like practices and pyramid schemes. Initially marketed as Executive Success Programs, ESP, Nexium claimed to provide tools and techniques for individuals to achieve success and fulfillment in various aspects of their lives. Yep, Raniere promised followers the keys to amazing things, and that it even attracted the likes of celebrities and business moguls. Nexium's curriculum included intensive workshops, seminars, and coaching sessions, focusing on topics such as leadership, ethics, and personal growth. Participants were encouraged to explore their beliefs, overcome limitations, and unlock their full potential through NXIVM's teachings. Raniere had assumed the title of Vanguard and positioned himself as the guiding force behind the organization's teachings and practices. He developed a hierarchical structure within NXIVM, with himself at the top, of course, followed by a select group of devoted followers known as the Inner Circle. However, as time passed, disturbing allegations began to surface, revealing the darker side of NXIVM's operations. Behind the facade of self-help and empowerment, XIVM was accused of engaging in manipulative and abusive practices. Former members spoke out, detailing horror stories of manipulation, coercion, and psychological abuse, including human trafficking, forced labor, alien smuggling, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice, all at the hands of Keith Raniere and his inner circle, someone who was representing himself as a mentor and spiritual leader, was now being shown for who he really was. Former members of NXIVM also accused Raniere of exploiting his position of power to engage in relationships with female followers, despicably exerting control over their lives and fostering a toxic environment of fear. One of the many disgusting stories is Raniere had exploited 3 sisters in one family, all of them eventually becoming sexual partners of Raniere. Absolutely wild. Mariana, who is the oldest of the 3 sisters, is the mother of Raniere's second biological child. Danila, who is the middle child, was trafficked for labor and performed services against her will. They had the brilliant idea to confine her to a room for almost 2 years, months without human contact and proper medical care, all in an attempt to break her so she will work for them. She wrote hundreds of letters pleading and begging to be freed, but all she was told was if she left the room, she would be sent back to Mexico without any identification documents. We're not done yet. Camilla, who is the youngest and was only 15 years old at the time, was abused by him. Keith was 45 at the time. He has photographs to prove it. How barbaric and infernal do you have to be to treat other humans this way? One of the most notorious aspects of NXIVM was its secret society known as DOS, Dominus Obsequious Sororium. Keith had created the monstrosity in late 2015. Women were recruited under the false pretense of joining a women-only mentorship group, only to discover that the vows of obedience were vows to be a slave to Raniere. Yep, a master and slave hierarchy. Female members of DOS were allegedly required to provide collateral to prevent them from leaving the group, or risk disclosing its existence to others. Confessions about themselves, rights to financial assets, and/or explicit photographs are just a few examples of what collateral. All the good stuff. Raniere required DOS slaves to take nude photographs, perform labor, and in some cases, engage in special acts with him. If all of that didn't scare you enough, DOS members were also branded with a symbol that consisted of a design with his initials. The DOS branding ritual was just another way to get more collateral on the members. The ceremonies were recorded, but it would all be exposed. On June 5th, 2017, Frank Perlato became the first to report on DOS and its horrific practice of human branding. Finally, someone was here to help. A few months after Frank's expose, on October 17th, 2017, the New York Times published their story about DOS and all the horrors involved. Raniere quickly disassociated himself with DOS and fled to Mexico. But the FBI wasn't too far behind. They had obtained a warrant for Raniere's arrest on February 14th, 2018. A short 6 weeks later, on March 26th, Mexican federal police located Raniere just outside Puerto Vallarta, relaxing in a luxury villa. Guess it was cut short. Raniere was found attempting to hide in a walk-in closet. He was arrested and deported back to US. The trial started on May 7th, 2019, and lasted for 5 weeks. All was laid bare. The extent of Raniere's crimes and the insidious nature of NXIVM's practices. On June 19th, 2019, the jury found Raniere guilty on all charges after only 5 hours of deliberation. Raniere was convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking, and forced labor conspiracy. He was sentenced to 120 years at United States Penitentiary in Tucson. This effectively ended his reign of influence and control over NXIVM and its members. Following Raniere's conviction, NXIVM's operations were effectively shut down, and its remaining members faced scrutiny and legal repercussions. The case of Keith Raniere and NXIVM serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of charismatic leaders and their swooning methods. The potential for manipulation and abuse within well-intentioned organizations are far too common. While Raniere sits behind bars, the scars left by NXIVM's abuses continue to haunt former members. A sobering reminder of the need for vigilance in the face of manipulation and exploitation. Also, the importance of critical thinking and skepticism, even in the pursuit of self-improvement. True empowerment comes from questioning, learning, and growing on our own terms, not blindly following others. Thanks for watching. Take care, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next mix of infernal anecdotes.